Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Have you ever thought about what made Bellatrix Lestrange so insanely devoted and terrifying? What if her madness had a logical explanation, rooted in deep psychological wounds? In today's video, you will find out the shocking truth behind her descent into darkness. The world of Harry Potter is filled with unforgettable characters. Some are noble heroes, others complex and layered. And then there are those who leave a lasting impression as villains. Bellatrix Lestrange was not just another Death Eater. She was Voldemort's most fanatical follower, a witch whose very presence radiated chaos. Played brilliantly by Helena Bonham Carter in the films, Bellatrix was more than just a servant of the Dark Lord. She was a force of destruction, a zealot who sometimes even outmatched Voldemort himself in her ruthlessness. But why was she like that? What made her so erratic, so violent, so completely unhinged? Let's dive into her past and uncover the truth. Born into the prestigious House of Black, Bellatrix was raised with a deep sense of superiority. Her family saw themselves as pure-blood aristocracy, looking down on Muggle-borns and even other wizards who didn't share their beliefs. From childhood, she was taught that power and bloodline mattered above all else. At Hogwarts, she was sorted into Slytherin, where she mingled with future Death Eaters like Lucius Malfoy. But while others hesitated, Bellatrix embraced Voldemort's ideology without question. She didn't just follow him, she worshipped him. Her loyalty knew no limits. She tortured Neville Longbottom's parents into insanity, never betrayed Voldemort even in Azkaban, and returned to his side the moment she escaped. Until her final breath in the Battle of Hogwarts, she remained his most dangerous enforcer. But what truly made her this way? Some believe it was Azkaban. Years spent in the wizarding prison surrounded by Dementors could have shattered what little sanity she had left. The constant exposure to despair and darkness might have turned her into something even more monstrous than before. Others point to unrequited love. Yes, Bellatrix was obsessed with Voldemort, not just as a leader, but as a man. While she was married to another Death Eater, it was Voldemort she truly loved. But he was incapable of love, and her desperate need to prove herself to him only drove her deeper into madness. She committed atrocities hoping to earn his approval, but all she ever received was cold indifference. There's even a controversial theory that Bellatrix bore Voldemort's child, Delphi, as introduced in The Cursed Child. But whether or not that's canon remains up for debate. One thing is certain. Bellatrix Lestrange was not just a villain, she was a tragic figure consumed by devotion, madness, and a desperate need for validation. And that perhaps is what makes her one of the most chilling characters in the Harry Potter universe. Bellatrix Lestrange was not born mad. She became what she was, slowly, inevitably, as the world around her shaped her into a creature of destruction. If we strip away the terrifying mask, what do we find beneath? A woman who was raised to believe in her own superiority, taught that power was everything, and molded into a weapon by the very ideology she served. But what if things had been different? What if, in another life, Bellatrix had taken another path? Would she still have turned into the ruthless executioner of Voldemort's will? Or was her fate sealed from the very beginning? Her family ensured she never doubted her place in the world. The Blacks were one of the oldest pure-blood families, obsessed with preserving their lineage, obsessed with the belief that magic belonged only to those of noble birth. From childhood, Bellatrix was surrounded by whispers of grandeur, of legacy, of the duty she carried as a Black. There was no room for doubt, no room for rebellion. The only acceptable path was one of power and dominance. Her younger sisters, Narcissa and Andromeda, found their own ways to exist within this rigid structure. Andromeda broke free, choosing love over blood purity, and was erased from the family tree for it. Narcissa played by the rules, adapting them to her needs. But Bellatrix never questioned anything. She embraced it all. At Hogwarts, she stood apart. She wasn't just another Slytherin, she was a Black, and she carried herself as such. She excelled at magic, particularly the darker arts, and developed a fascination with spells that inflicted pain. Some whispered that she practiced the Cruciatus curse on animals before she even left school. Whether that was true or not, one thing was certain. She enjoyed causing pain. Not for the sake of it, but because pain was power, and power was all that mattered. Meeting Voldemort changed everything. There were many who followed him, but Bellatrix was different. She didn't just believe in his cause, she believed in him. He wasn't just a leader to her, he was something more, something divine. She spoke of him in reverence, with an almost religious fervor, as if he were not a man but a god walking among them. And she wanted nothing more than to serve him, to prove herself worthy in his eyes. Her marriage to Rodolphus Lestrange was nothing more than a formality, a union to keep the bloodline pure, to satisfy her family's expectations. There was no love there, no passion. Rodolphus was a Death-Eater like her, but he was nothing compared to the Dark Lord. Bellatrix saw herself as Voldemort's true right hand, his most devoted servant, the one who would do what no one else dared. When he commanded, she obeyed without hesitation. She was one of the few who never doubted him. When he fell, when he disappeared after attempting to kill the infant Harry Potter, the other Death Eaters scrambled to save themselves. They pleaded for mercy, claimed they had been under the Imperious curse, renounced their allegiance to him in order to escape punishment. Not Bellatrix. She stood trial and laughed in the face of the Wizengamot. She declared, without shame, that she remained loyal, that she would wait for his return, that she would seek him out no matter how long it took. And she did not waver even when they sent her to Azkaban. Azkaban changed her, but it did not break her. Most prisoners withered away in that place, their souls eaten alive by Dementors. But Bellatrix endured. She held on to her devotion like a lifeline, repeating to herself over and over again that the Dark Lord would return, that this suffering was temporary, that she would serve him again. And when the day finally came, when she and the others broke free, it was as if she had been reborn. Her descent into madness became undeniable after her escape. She was not just ruthless, she was unhinged. Her laughter rang through battlefields, wild and uncontrolled, as if she found true joy in the destruction she caused. She was responsible for some of the darkest acts of Voldemort's second rise to power. She did not hesitate to torture, to kill, to do whatever was necessary to prove her worth. And yet, beneath all the chaos there was something else, a desperation, a need. It wasn't just about serving Voldemort, it was about being seen by him. She worshipped him, but he saw her only as a tool, a useful one, a powerful one, but nothing more. He did not love, he did not care, and yet Bellatrix could not accept that. She pushed herself further and further, seeking some form of recognition, some sign that she mattered to him. Every act of cruelty, every drop of blood she spilled was another plea for his approval. And in the end it was all for nothing. The Battle of Hogwarts was her final stand. She fought with everything she had, reveling in the destruction, laughing as she duelled, believing in her own invincibility. And then she faced Molly Weasley, a mother defending her child, a woman driven not by hatred, but by love. Bellatrix underestimated her. She had always believed that power came from darkness, from ruthlessness, from cruelty, but she had forgotten the strength of love, of true, unbreakable devotion. And in that moment, it was Bellatrix who fell. Her death was almost anticlimactic. After all the terror she had spread, all the pain she had inflicted, she was struck down in a single moment. No grand farewell, no dramatic last words, just a life that burned too brightly, too chaotically, and was snuffed out in an instant. But what if things had been different? If she had not been raised to believe in blood purity, if she had not met Voldemort, if she had been taught that love was not a weakness, would she still have walked this path? Or was there something in her, something deep and unchangeable that made her destined for darkness? Perhaps Bellatrix Lestrange was always meant to be what she became. Perhaps she never had a choice. Or perhaps somewhere in another world there is a version of her who chose differently, a version who found love instead of obsession, a version who walked away before it was too late. But in this world, in this story, she was what she was, a woman consumed by power, by devotion, by madness. And in the end, that was all she had left.